Hello and welcome back to the Links Lives Natters podcast with myself, Shelley. We have a very, 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 very special guest today. I have been waiting weeks to talk to this lady, and I'm going to get her to introduce herself because I'm a little bit excited. Mystery guest, please tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello, thank you Shelley for inviting me. I'm Jayne Southall, so I live in Lincoln. I used to run the Lincolnshire Showground, so people in Lincoln will know me for that. And at the moment I do some consultancy work for businesses, and I also help people with connections, etc.
And Jayne offered kindly to come on the podcast, and when she did, we've connected and we've had several conversations, and we've got something very, very special. We can't wait, can we, Jayne, to tell you at the end of the podcast? We can't wait, can we, Jayne?
We can't, no. It's
we can't tell
news.
You yet.
You have to listen all the way through, yes.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually,
yes.
Jayne. You have to listen.
Otherwise you miss out.
Or you'll miss out, because we're not going to tell you. But people might guess what she's going to do, but we're not going to tell you. First of all, we're going to have a little chat to Jayne about why, who, where, why, what's going on for Jayne and stuff. So first of all, we're going to sort of like, what brought you to Lincoln and why Lincoln, Jayne?
I came to Lincoln because I had previously worked in the timber trade, and so I came to work for a person that had a business, a timber business in Bardney in Lincolnshire. So originally I was driving from Uttoxeter and probably doing 2 or 3 days a week in Lincoln, and then I thought it would probably be good for me to move, and my children were at the right age if I was going to move them, so I moved to Lincoln. Hence.
Absolutely fantastic. And then obviously your journey started because you worked for one firm and then you went on to work for an even bigger firm.
Yes, so I worked for the timber company, and then I went to work for the Lincolnshire Agricultural Society, which is also the showground. And I was there for 16 years, finance manager, and then I acted up twice as CEO, and then I became CEO in 2011.
Can you tell us some of the biggest challenges you faced when you first became CEO of the Lincolnshire Showground?
Well, the Lincolnshire Showground in 2011, the showground's a great site. There's 18 showgrounds across the country, and but obviously they're big sites, 275 acres.
Are they really?
Yes, so it's maintaining the sites. The challenge is actually balancing the books, probably. So it's the show.
I think we're sorry, Jayne, I interrupted you or not. I think that's the challenge for everybody at the moment, isn't it? Trying to balance the books, isn't it? That's what I was going to say. Sorry, Jayne.
No, that's fine. Yes, and it is, because one of the tasks was at one point was reduce the costs of the show by £100,000, but keep the show as it is. And also, you can't just immediately increase your income, because obviously, especially now with the cost of living, people are looking at ticket prices, etc.
Exactly.
And you are seeing that some of the larger events, like the Woodall Spa 1940s weekend, is actually no longer happening. Although I believe,
absolutely devastated about that when I heard that.
Yes, but I believe there is a committee trying to make it happen.
Oh, good.
But if you think about it, it's such a large event, and you've got a duty of care for all the people that are there. So with a show, it's 30,000 people a day over 2 days.
Yeah, because I imagine it's quite a challenge to put something like an event on, because it's like building a house, isn't it?
Yes, so it starts immediately after the show. You go into what could we have done better, and then it's all the planning and looking at the budgets, etc. But it's also working with the police and the highways, East Midland Ambulance Service, the anti-terrorism police as well.
Yes, because we had a conversation, and you've had to deal with the anti-terrorism police, haven't you?
Yes. Well, what we did at one point at the showground, and I'm sure they still do it under Charlotte's reign now. There's another lady taking over, nothing to do with girl power. And I used to invite the anti-terrorism police to do a conference or a day's training at the showground, and invite all the other venues in Lincoln and just work out what's happening and what we need to look out for. And because, you know, we're living in an ever-changing world, and it's just knowing that you protect everybody that you've got, basically. Sounds a bit scary.
It's quite scary, but it's everyday life now, isn't it?
It is, because you don't actually know sometimes even who your neighbour is, do you? And you just have to make sure you've got everything in place, risk assessments, etc. And also, when I say the medical cover with large events, you can't rely on the hospital or the ambulance service, if you have a major incident, you've got to know that you've got sufficient medical cover on site to deal with that incident, including ambulance doctors, paramedics, etc. So the costs, traffic management, security, the cost to put on a large event are ever increasing.
Yeah, because there's things there that people wouldn't think about, isn't there? You know, sort of like maintaining the paths, boundaries, all sorts of things that you just take for granted, isn't there? There's all those sort of things.
Yes, so with the Showground, or the Agricultural Society, because it was a charity, it had a trading arm, or it has a trading arm, which is the Showground, and so we hire out the venue, and all the income that we raise is gift aided to the charity to maintain the Showground and also do other educational work and put on the Lincolnshire Show.
Yeah, and what a fabulous show it is. How old is it now? How old is the show?
I'm going to say, I should know, I used to know, I'm going to say 139 years, possibly. I haven't done all of them, by the way.
That's well, if you have, you're looking blooming well, Jane, on it and stuff. I mean, that was a question I just dropped on Jane there, you know, because I thought she'd know the answer to that one. I'm sure
it's 139, but it's been cancelled for foot and mouth, 2 world wars, and then COVID.
But you did do
an online show.
An online one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because you kept it going, didn't you?
Yes.
Sort of through that.
Yeah, the online show, we got 70,000 hits.
Really?
And I even got a letter from the Chamber of Agriculture in Australia saying, wish everyone else had got your vision, which I thought was great. But we did it in 6 weeks as well. And
what an achievement to just get that
great.
letter, and like you kept it going, you know, through COVID, to get a letter going. Well done. And, you know, kept going and stuff like that. Also, you know, obviously you talk about the challenges, you know, what was a daily sort of challenge for you? How did your typical day look like for you?
I think, well, no 2 days are the same, and I know everyone says that, but I mean, they obviously have meetings planned, and with the Agricultural Society, you've got lots of committees: marketing committee, finance committee, show committee, development committee,
trustees, a lot of committees, Jane.
But there's so many people who love the Agricultural Society and the Showground, and they want to make it work. And, you know, at the show we have 200 stewards. I talk as about it's still there, but I'm not. 200 stewards that help put the show on. So there's so many people who are behind it and supporting it, and it's great. But anything could happen. You know, I could get someone phone up and want to put a concert. I love concerts. And I'm thinking, right, yes, we can do this, you know. And then you just work with the team and that to bring events in. So, but it's also dealing with the HR, dealing with day-to-day, dealing with the finances. So I think it was a great role. It's just a wide, diverse role. And I can plan my day and my week, but it doesn't mean to say with anything that your day ends up. You can still have things on the list that you started on the morning, can't you?
Yeah, because you mentioned about concerts, which brilliantly leads into my next question I was going to say to you. What are some of the key achievements you are most proud of during your tenure as CEO even? Because you mentioned concerts as well, didn't you?
Yes. Well, yeah. First of all, I think we have a great team. So it's building a great team and investing in those. Yeah, the concerts. So we had the first one we had was JLS. I don't think they exist anymore.
They're still going. They are still going. Yes.
And we had Little Mix was a support act, and then we had Elton John, Lionel Richie.
As she just casually drops, we just had Elton John.
Yeah, and Lionel Richie, and then the guy that's now doing the concerts at the Castle. We had Rag and Bone Man, Simply Red.
That's another story.
But one of the events that will always have a place in my heart is the Harley Davidson International Super Rally, because that was 4 years in the planning.
You need to expand on this one, Jane.
Okay, well, I met the people that wanted to put it on, and he was Mr. Catweasel and Mrs. Catweasel, and this is why you should never judge a book by its cover. And I'm thinking, okay. So I met them, and we had a motorbike event on, and I met them at the Showground, and they said they wanted to put this event on, and it hadn't been in England for sort of like 38 years, and it was in Poland, I think, and they needed to go abroad and present to put the show on, and I thought, well, I need to help them with this, so I thought they might not do it, so I spoke to Visit Lincoln, and I got why should they hold it in Lincoln, etc., and they actually won. And I thought, oh my gosh, we got the event coming. So it's 4 years in the planning. Towards the end, there was a change in personnel at the police, and the police are always very supportive of events, but he saw it as a high-risk event. Someone said to me Armageddon was coming to the Lincolnshire and the show wouldn't happen again because they were going to burn the Showground down. But it was an absolutely fabulous event, and we had 7,800 Harleys on the showground.
Wow, I bet I have no words to actually envision that, Jane. I just you amaze me with that one, but I bet it was incredible just to
It
see
was great.
it.
And we had got the Hells Angels, so I do have, I'm probably allowed to say it, the Hells Angel of Lincolnshire, his number in my phone.
What a rebel! What a rebel this lady is.
But someone said to me, a girl that worked for me said to me that her partner was on one of the doors in Lincoln in one of the clubs, and he got these two Scandinavian motorbikers coming towards them, very tall, over 6 foot, and one had the big horns on his head and on his helmet, not on his head. And they thought, oh, right, here we go. What's he going to ask? And they went, excuse me, can you tell me where we can watch the Eurovision Song Contest? So again,
you don't know people, do you?
No.
Until you get talking to them, you don't know people.
Yeah, well, the one of the guys, Lincolnshire guys that does outdoor catering, he had a fish and chip van, and he said, Jane, I've sold 18 months of mayonnaise in a 4-day weekend, because all the Scandinavian people like mayonnaise with their chips, don't they? I like mayonnaise with my chips too.
Do you like mayonnaise?
I do.
This is going to be quite a random conversation today. This is how
Sorry.
This is how podcasts evolve, because sometimes you have the weirdest things, and we're going to talk about mayonnaise and stuff like this, and this links in brilliantly to like the surprise we've got later and stuff for you guys. I wanted to know sort of like, how did you see the role of the Lincolnshire Showground evolving in sort of like the next decade? I know you're not there. How do you think it's going to sort of evolve?
Well, Charlotte, and I did send her a message, Charlotte Powell, who's the new CEO, who's fabulous, by the way, and she kept saying to people, I've got very big boots to fill. And I said to her, I didn't leave any shoes there, but I did leave my footsteps. And she's taken it and she will drive it forward, and it's a new set of eyes. And the show and the showground, I think it'll just evolve as Lincolnshire is evolving with everything that's happening. We've got more people in Lincoln, we've got more businesses, more things to do. I think there'll be more opportunities for the showground and the Agricultural Society to grow, and I think it'll just keep continuing to grow.
Yeah, because the city is developing as we speak and stuff like that. I mean, we've got that new multi-storey car park as well, which, has helped with parking and stuff like that. So that's bringing more people in, isn't it? It's bringing more people in and stuff.
And the upgrade of the Cornhill and the Cornhill Market. And
Cornhill Cove?
Yes, Cornhill Cove. So it's almost like, because you've got uphill Lincoln and downhill Lincoln, and we need them to merge together, don't we?
We need something to go up sort of steep hill, because how many times have we been, I don't know about yourself, to the Lincoln Christmas market, or you're going uphill to Bailgate and you think, I'm going to do that hill, I'm going to do steep hill, and then you get halfway up it and then you're thinking, why did I do this? But it's an attraction of Lincoln, isn't it?
It is. I've worked, if you go crossways, it's not as difficult
Not
as going
crossways.
But I mean, the development of the Cornhill, which is great, and I think we want Lincoln to be live at night like other cities, because often at 5:30, 6 o'clock it's dead quiet, and really the Cornhill and that, and with the outdoor seating and everything, is making it more vibrant. And you're right with the bus station and transport links, they're improving, and I think also people are finding out where we are, because someone said to me at one point, well, you go through Lincoln to get to Skegness, you don't stop. No, you do stop, but you can do Lincoln and the coast and the countryside, so we've got a lot to offer.
Yeah, because transport links are improving and stuff, because we've got late night buses now, haven't we? Which was, for us it's like, oh, we can get home at 12 o'clock on a Friday night now. So for us that was like a big thing to go into town and stuff in the evening now, knowing that we could get home sort of like at 12 o'clock. Which is 12 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at night. But you can get home. You can get home.
I can remember years ago, because I did live in the Midlands. I'd go into Birmingham to a nightclub when I was much younger, and you'd get the milk train back. The milk train. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, but it was called the milk train. I don't know whether it got milk on it, but you could get a 4 o'clock train. So you'd do the nightclub at 2, and then you'd find somewhere to eat.
Faulty boiler leaving you brainless. Radiator making you feel cold and lifeless. leaky tap making you feel like a... Then call J&S Plumbing and Heating. Your local, your friendly, reliable plumbing and heating engineer. We offer comprehensive solutions for all your plumbing, gas and heating issues. We are here to bring you and your plumbing back to life. So call J&S Plumbing and Heating when you're feeling a little grave. Hello?
I mean, Lincoln's got a lot going for it, a lot of nightlife. You've got a lot of students, but there's also a lot to do for any age group, isn't there?
Yeah,
really?
because the cultural and recreational enhancements and stuff, because we've got Bomber Command now.
Yes.
We've got the new restaurants, we've got new bars coming on board.
We have, yes.
Lincoln is getting
it is.
bigger,
It
can we
is.
say?
Yes.
Can we say that?
Yes, well, I'm also on the board of Visit Lincoln and Destination Lincolnshire, so obviously I sort of see things that are happening. We've got all funding coming in, levelling up funding, etc., and it's helping to put Lincolnshire more on the map. I always said it was like the hidden jewel in the crown, wasn't it, really? And once people know we're here, they'll come here.
They keep coming because,
Yes.
like, on social media and stuff, when you see people say, oh, I'm coming for the day.
Yes.
And you'll see the people, all their feet say, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Yes.
You know, and people are like, wow, I didn't know about the cathedral. I didn't know about the Brayford. But once
Yes.
people have been, they come, don't they? They
Yes.
keep coming back
Yes.
to these hidden gems.
They
Because
do.
there is some hidden gems in Lincoln that people don't even know about. Because I always say to people about some of the coffee shops.
Yes.
Because there's one up Steep Hill that's very traditional. And people don't know about it, even though they live here, don't they? They
Yes.
don't know about things in their own town.
Well, it was quite, sometimes often I'd get people come to the showground, even if they were contractors to do some work, and they've lived in Lincoln all the night and they've never been to the showground. So it's just people don't always know what's on the... But that's the same with anything. It's even with businesses, sometimes with businesses. For instance, I worked for a timber company and we did, it was called Midland Hardwoods. So people used to take orders from us for hardwoods, but we also sell softwoods, but they didn't know that. And it's a bit like with the showground. Sometimes people knew we had the large halls downstairs in the Epic Centre, but they didn't know you got the small suites upstairs. So it's a bit, some people don't always know what's available to them.
Do you know what do you think sets Lincoln apart from other cities in terms of its community feel, its friendliness? What do you like about Lincoln? Ooh, lots of things, I think.
Loads, yeah. I think it is a great community. I remember once when I first moved to Lincoln, because I moved in 2001, and I spoke to a taxi driver and he went, we don't want people to know we're here. And it was a bit like, I thought, you're not going to stop that. But I think it's got so much to offer. I think on the whole, I think it's a safe place. You feel safe if you're in the Bailgate or in the city. People are friendly. Even people in the shops will talk to you. One of the things that I feel at the moment is now that people don't say thank you enough or speak to people.
No, I don't know if that's a generation thing or if it's something that's just happened since COVID. I mean, this is my own personal view. You know, it's sort of like I was always brought up to say please, thank you, polite. I'm from the 70s generation and we're always told to be polite, you know, and I don't know if it's something, you know, just a thank you, you know, thank you for doing that for me. Like today, I know I can say I had a guest on who brought me some flowers, and it's just those little gestures, Jane,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes, makes you
it's
feel
just,
better.
you know, for somebody to say thank you.
But I think I think COVID hasn't helped, but I also think now you can go into a restaurant and you can actually order with your QR code. You don't actually have to even look up when they bring you the food, and that's so wrong, really, because actually there's some really interesting... my children will say, Mum, stop talking to everybody, but it's a bit like, you know, the person that's serving you at the checkout, they're still a person, aren't they? And sometimes they can be quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I like to have a conversation, hence why I do a podcast. I like talking to people, you know, I'll talk to people at the bus station, I'll talk to random strangers, and sometimes it's like, who are you talking to? But those random strangers, you don't know where that you could end up. You know, you end up in a really good conversation and stuff, but sometimes the majority of conversations for me are brilliant, you know, and when I tell people what I do, I get some stories, Jane.
Yes.
I get some real stories and stuff. But like you say, the world has changed, hasn't it?
Yes, I think people got less patience as well, even on traffic, because I worked through COVID because we were a testing site, so there was hardly anyone on the roads.
I forgot you had that added.
Yes.
You were a testing site as well, weren't you?
Set that up in 5 days.
5 days?
With the help of the army, so it was late night calls saying yes, and obviously the board of the Agricultural Society agreed that we wouldn't charge for the facility because it was a necessity. I can't even say that. And also what was funny is they'd got all the volunteers coming to do all the testing, and they'd only organised the food for the Monday. And Stuart, one of the managers who worked for Serco, who was there, said, Jane, I've got a problem. We've got 100 and so many people coming Saturday and Sunday to do all the testing, and we've got no food. Right, so I phoned around, and if I'm allowed to name drop, I spoke to Waitrose, and they said, first of all, they said they could give us all the sandwiches, and then they said they couldn't guarantee they would get sandwiches because they had no idea what was being delivered, but they offered us the ingredients to make the sandwiches. So I had a list of like so many vegan, so many gluten-free, and this and that and the other, and I got two of the girls at work, one of the girls that works at the showground, a lady who's a member of the Agricultural Society, and then Neil Everett, who's a businessman in Lincoln.
Very well-known businessman.
Yes. We made sandwiches. We made sure we were distanced apart in the kitchen.
Neil made sandwiches.
He made sandwich. I've got a picture of it in a Lincolnshire apron. We made sandwiches for 2 days. We made sandwiches and made sure they were fed. And then after that, it sort of snowballed because I put it on social media. So we got Stokes's Tea and Coffee offering us free tea and coffee. We got free pizzas. Then someone offered me half a cow. I'm thinking, my gosh, I'm going to have to open the kitchen up too. And then ice cream. And it was a bit, but that shows also the community coming together, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I was going to say about the personal connection, because some of those names that Jane just dropped.
Sorry. Am I allowed to name drop?
I'm sure we can use that.
Yes.
I'm sure we can use that.
I've definitely got a picture of Neil in a Lincolnshire apron making sandwiches.
I'm sure we can use some of those things Jane just, but it just shows you the strength of the community in Lincoln, in Lincolnshire, doesn't it?
Yes.
All those people offering to help and
Yes.
stuff, So it really shows you, because one of the things also is like, do you ever get that feeling when you're coming back to Lincoln? Because I know Jane's recently been away to somewhere south.
Yes.
When you come back to Lincoln, do you think, oh, I'm home when you see the cathedral?
Yes.
Because a lot of people, they think, oh, I'm home because they could see the cathedral in the distance.
You see it in the distance. And at night, sometimes with some of the amazing skies we have, it just stands out. And I'm home now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what aspect of Lincoln makes it feel like home to you? Is it the cathedral? Is it the people? Or is it the whole thing?
It is the whole thing. I'm not saying I won't live anywhere else because, when I went away, I thought, I could live here because I was talking to really loads of nice people. And then I thought perhaps it's because my family came from there. Then I go to France and I think I can live here and eat cheese and wine.
I'm a bit like that. I'm quite fascinated with somewhere in Greece at the moment. I'm like, I could live in Greece. I could have a boat, and then you think the realistic is sort of like, could I live out here? Could I live, with hot temperatures of over 100 degrees? Could I?
We'd need a pool, air conditioning,
pool and air conditioning, Jane.
and work to support it.
Saying about that, we said about Neil Everett and stuff like that. Who do you think your inspirations and influence are in Lincoln? Who's impressed you, Jane? And think,
I think lots of people have impressed me, and I know that's a difficult one. I mean, at one time at the show, we celebrated RAF 100, and we had a lot of the veterans there from the RAF, and they are so lovely, and yet so sort of unassuming. But then we'd get gifts again. One of the stands wanted to give them all a bottle of whiskey, and then someone else, I'm thinking, should I really be giving them whiskey? It's a bit like, but everyone embraces them, don't you? But I mean, my children are probably my greatest inspiration.
Also, another big factor in Lincoln is some of the areas. We have different areas, like Jane mentioned, the Bailgate. We have...
We've got Burton Waters. So
Burton
Waters on a sunny day, you could be anywhere.
Tell me about Burton Waters, Jane. What makes Burton Waters?
I lived there for 6 months when I moved to Lincoln.
There you go. What can you say?
What can you say? Just rented while I was waiting for a house to be ready. Burton Waters is, when the sun's shining and you're there by the boat, you could be anywhere. You could pretend you're somewhere else. And I noticed a few people got some offices down there. Now, that would be amazing.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be brilliant to sort of like I'm going to my office today, and you just open the doors,
and
and you've got
the
Burton
boats.
Waters.
Yeah, but there's so many. I know we said Lincoln, but Lincolnshire. There's so many lovely visuals. I'm going to Heckington Show on Saturday.
Busy lady. This is
I'm
busy,
going to
busy
Heckington
lady.
Show, and I've got a friend who's got a stand. She sells art and she does cushions and interior stuff. And so I said I'd help her for a couple of hours. And I'm going with a friend who I used to work with at the showground, so I've just booked the tickets for us this morning, and she does a hobby of photography, so she's going to be taking pictures and different things. And so there's loads of smaller shows to do. There's loads to do. You've got Woodall Smart. I love Kinema in the Woods.
Yeah, the Kinema in the Woods is, I mean, somebody I know went for the first time and absolutely loved it.
Yes.
Absolutely loved going to the Kinema in the Woods, you know, because it's still got that sort of like, I'd like to say 1940s sort of vibe,
Yes.
Even to like the organ guy that comes up, doesn't he?
Yes.
You've got an old-fashioned guy playing the organ that comes up.
Yes.
And if you've never been to the Kinema, you're thinking, oh, what's happening now? Because
Yes.
everything stops
Yes.
in the middle of the film, and up pops this gentleman on playing his organ and
Yes.
stuff like that, doesn't it? It's
And they've
quite-
got the suites, but it's not not over expensive to go.
It's really
but
not,
it's
is
quite.
it?
I saw Amy Winehouse Back to Black, and I saw the Bob Marley film as well, and I thought they were really good films. And also Woodall Spar's lovely because it's got a bookshop, and I don't know the name of it, I should do. And if you go to the back of the bookshop, it's got all second-hand books.
Wow.
And I bought some very old books with history, but if you want a book on anything, on food, on cars, on anything, and they're all second, and even for children, the charity shops have got, you know, we don't tend to buy books anymore, and children need books to read, or hard copy books, and you can get them actually at, you know, I bought some Mr. Men books at 50p, not for me to read, by the way, but I do remember reading them to my children, but it means they're more accessible to people with the cost of living. But there's other villages, lots of villages in Lincolnshire, great places to go.
I think you're saying about books, Jane. I think the art of reading a book is dying, isn't it? Because everybody's on social media, aren't they?
Yes, and I was asked at one point, and I haven't done it yet. I'm not saying I won't pick it up, but to be sort of help with there is a charity. I can't remember the name of it, should do, sorry, but they go into schools and they help children to read, and because they say there's so many children now under 7 who can't read or read as well as they should do, and often it could be because their first language at home isn't English. So they don't always have the support at home. It's not that the parents don't want to support them. And actually, if you can't read, they're also saying about going into school readers, it's called, going into prisons, because we're trying to help the people who are in prisons not to reoffend. And I know there's a chef that's teaching them how to work in hospitality and catering.
Yes,
but
a very well-known chef.
Yes, but someone said to me, if they can't read and write, how are they going to fill in the application form? So it's a bit like giving them all of the tools to make them actually...
Yeah, because like you say, it's a dying art, but it needs to come back.
Yes.
It needs to come back, Jane, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'll show you them. They're very old books, 18 something, and I bought 3 of them, and I'm sure it's got interesting
Sounds
stuff
like
in
Woodall Spar's a very sort of personal favourite, sort of like, we don't want to offend anybody, but you
Well, I
quite
only went there because I went to Kinema in the Woods, and then I found the bookshop, and I thought, this is exciting. Then I went in the charity shop, because often with the charity shops as well, it's not always second-hand stuff. Not there's an issue with second-hand, but they have local people who will donate things that are brand new for people to buy.
Also, it provides, a place for people to go who want to volunteer and things as well. They can get a start if they've never worked in retail, and it's a place for almost like... It's like a chatty place, isn't it? Because you go into some of these shops and people chat to you, don't they? And they're sort of like, so pleased to see you, Jo.
Yes. Well, there's one by me that I do go into, and I did take quite a few bits, but then I always come back with something, and I'm thinking, I didn't mean to buy that. But for instance, my daughter's just moved house, and I bought her a black and white print of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh,
and I paid £2 for it.
Absolutely adore Marilyn. I absolutely adore Marilyn.
And I thought that's a great picture. And what else did I bought her a Gustav Klimt, The Embrace. That's a print. I paid £2 for that as well.
Wow.
And I thought that...
So if anybody wants to go bargain shopping with Jane...
Yeah. Well, some people said to me, a lot of people now are downsizing. They're going into smaller houses because of the cost of living, etc. So they're actually giving the stuff to the charity shops, which is great because they're helping the charities. But there's some really good stuff to have. Yeah.
I mean, any other areas that you specifically like, that Jane likes?
No, I like going into Lincoln. I like going into different restaurants, whether it's Bailgate, whether it's in Lincoln, whether it's in villages, whether it's a pub. Just depends what mood I'm in.
Because there is so much diversity
choice.
in Lincolnshire.
Yes,
We'll
there
say
is.
Lincolnshire.
Lincolnshire,
whether
yes.
you want a chain, whether you want an independent place. There is so many places.
Yes.
And it's just about getting out there.
Yes.
Get in the car. Get on public transport.
Yes.
Go and explore what is out there.
Yes, and I think there's and it's supporting them because it's not easy in hospitality at the moment.
Yes, hence what I'm about to tell you, and I wish I had a drum roll to announce what I'm about to announce. Jayne is actually going to have her own podcast series. Woo! So excited. And we've already got some guests lined up, haven't we, Jayne?
We have, yes.
And it will be going out in the next few months. We will let you know when that goes out. But I know Jayne is really excited to be doing this, aren't you?
Yeah, some of the guests don't know yet, but that's fine.
We don't know. We do know who.
We know they are. I just haven't told some of them that they're doing it, but they'll be fine.
Okay, so it's a case of like watch this space and see what Jayne comes up with. But we are very excited. Jayne, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today, and I can't say bye because we'll be working with you.
We will. You've got me now. Once you're hooked in, I don't let you go.
No, we don't want you to go. But Jayne, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode featuring the incredibly talented Jayne Southall. We hope you enjoyed our natter and found it as inspiring as we did. And exciting news, Jayne will be launching her very own podcast, Lincolnshire Tales, very soon, with some very exciting guests and adventures coming up. Stay tuned and watch this space. A huge thank you to my amazing technical team for making this episode possible. Your hard work behind the scenes is truly appreciated. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an update. We're available on all your favourite platforms. And if you're interested in sponsoring an episode or advertising with us, including radio adverts, we'd love to hear from you. Get in touch with us at linkslifenatters.com. This is Shelley signing off for now. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.